Can I hear an amen? I opened Exodus, but I've not read it. So let me now show you a picture of one man. And he's the one I will discuss all through and I'll close. Exodus chapter 3. Look at verse 7. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt. See how God calls people. Dear man of God, dear woman of God. This is how God calls people. He doesn't call people because he wants to make the one who he called better. He calls people first because he has heard a cry. Watch. See how God calls people. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt. So every call is a response to afflictions that God has seen. If you are in ministry, please, the only way you can prove to me that you have an authentic call is to show me the affliction that God saw to call you. What affliction did he see to call you? For some people, their call was based on their stomach. For others, their call was based on their ego. For some people, their call was based on competition. For some people, their call was based on the vanities of this world. Today, anybody can get into ministry and they don't know why they're in ministry. Because that man of God is driving a big Jeep. That pastor is driving a big car. He has police security around him. He's flying a jet. And then we feel, wow, ministry is now gold mine. We feel ministry is oil well, where we come to tap oil, come and drill oil and make our lives better. No, sir. God does not call until he hears people's cry. God does not call until he sees people's affliction. They have seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt and have heard their cry by reason of their tax masters. Tax masters here, their slave masters, the people who are holding them captive, have heard their cry by reason of what Pharaoh and their tax masters is doing to them. Today there are many tax masters. Tax masters of poverty, tax masters of underdevelopment, tax masters of bad leadership, tax masters of corruption, and all kinds of things in our country. Tax master of Satan, of sin. Pharaoh in the Old Testament is a type of Satan. Egypt in the Old Testament is a type of sin, the land of sin, the land of bondage. So God said, I've heard and I've seen. He said, for I know their sorrows, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Look at verse 10. Come now therefore, and I will send you unto Pharaoh. So this is God calling Moses. He said, come now, I will send you unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Assignment is clear. Moses, I am calling you. Go to Egypt and deliver these people who have been afflicted, who have been in sorrow, out of Egypt. Bring them out. That's your assignment. I used to think that when God called Moses to bring the children out of Egypt and take them into the promised land. I used to think that way until God corrected me and told me that every call is transgenerational. The call of God does not start and end with you. The call of God starts with you and then it continues with other people. That's why you must be very, 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 listen to me, child of God. You must take your ministries very serious. There's a phase for you to do what you are called to do and exit. Another person will take over from where you stop and continue. God specified it clearly. Look at verse 9, what he said there. Look at verse 9. He said, now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send you unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my children out of Egypt. So what is the calling of Moses? Go and get them out. But in the blueprint, God also said he's going to take them into Canaan, and they will possess the land of the Canaanite, the land of the Jebusites, and the rest of them. But it wasn't Moses who was going to do all that. Moses' own part is to bring them out of Egypt. Who is now going to take them into the promised land? It was Joshua. But if Moses did not do his own part, you know the consequence of that? Joshua will not be able to fulfill his own. Because until Moses brings the people out of Egypt, Joshua can't take them into the promised land. Understand that your purpose is intertwined. Your purpose is linked up to another person's purpose. That's why you must not play with your destiny. Somebody's own destiny is hanging on your own. It's like a relay. When somebody is running a marathon, he has a baton in his hand, As he runs, he gets to a point where he hands over that baton to another runner. It's like a chain. If you lose the baton while running, the other person standing in front will be very frustrated, because there's nothing he can run with again. You see why you can't live your life carelessly, child of God. You see why you cannot live your life anyhow. There are people tied to you. The Bible says that the earnest expectation of creation is waiting for the earnest manifestation, for the manifestation of the sons of God. They are waiting. There are people who will not come out of their prison until you emerge. Imagine if Moses wasted his life. The children of Israel would have been locked up in Egypt, and they would have died there because there was no deliverer to respond. Who did God create you for? What cry did he see? What affliction did he see? What cry did he hear? For your birth. You came because people were wailing. You came because people are crying. How can you live your life like you don't care? There's a way people live their life. You know, these ones don't care. They are just living religiously. Meanwhile, there are millions tied to you. Millions. As a man, I have children, for instance. One time, I was looking at my children, playing, laughing, jumping, and I nodded in my head. I said, look at these human beings. They came out of my body as water. Water. That's what came out of my body. Fertilized my wife's egg. See full-fledged human beings like me now. And now they are growing. Very soon they will marry. They will marry and continue the same cycle. I said that means nobody is born for himself alone. If I didn't get married, for instance, or maybe if I threw my life away and maybe lost my life, do you know those children who I now have, they will be lost forever? I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. I don't think you're. This is solid meat. It will take you really removing religion from your head to understand. If you're married here, you should understand what I'm saying. Those children, if you had died, they will not be alive. Let's assume your father who gave birth to you had died before he married and gave birth to you. You wouldn't have been alive. You would have been lost long time ago. Lost. You wouldn't see the light of day. That's how it is spiritually. That you have a role and an assignment to play in this world. That when you got born again, God equipped your spiritual loins with children. God equipped your spiritual loins with children. A lot of them will perish if you don't emerge.